Hello and welcome. You're probably asking yourself, what's blind bonsai? Well, basically, my daughter and I were talking the other day. Now, she's not really followed me on my bonsai journey and she's not really shown much interest, but we was talking about YouTube and the bonsai videos I've been putting up, and she said to me, well, why don't you do something different? So I said to her, like what? What can I do different? She turned round and she said to me, she said, well, you've discussed when you're looking to buy a tree or work on a tree, you look at the trunk structure, you look at the nabari, you look at the branch structure, you look at a lot of different things. Why not just take a normal tree or just any tree and just have a go at it without looking at it first? So I says, well, okay then, that sounds a good idea, but like what? She says, well, I'll pick 2 trees for you and you see what you can do with them. So I laughed, I'll be honest with you, and I decided to take her up on the challenge. So we was coming home from the hospital the other day and there was a garden centre, and she says, let's go and have a quick look in here. So what we did is we went into the garden centre and she said, right, there you go, there's only them 2 junipers left, the rest are big ones. She said, so they aren't going to cost much money, so see what you can do with them. So here they are. As you can see, I've got more of a blue type upright juniper, and then I've got a more flat ground covering type juniper. Great stuff. I thought, yes, what can I do with them? Now this juniper we've got here, I've not examined it, so I don't know what I'm going to come across. And this is what could be same when you're actually buying one yourself. You're going to take a starter piece of material. It's not from a proper bonsai centre where they've shaped the trunk and got it all pre-ready for you, so there's potential there and you better work on it. This is absolutely from scratch. We don't know what's underneath. This might be a total flop. I might end up working on this and it just doesn't look like anything on earth. It might have a skinny trunk, it might have 5 trunks, it might have no nabari, it might even have bugs in the soil. We don't know until we've actually started digging amongst it and looking into it to see what's there. But at the end of the day, what we're going to get is hopefully some kind of tree out of it. And what I want to do is show you what the capability is that you've got by doing something similar, and that you can enjoy the benefit from it. So let's get on with it. This one, as I said to you, that's going to be for part 2, another project, but we're going to work on this one first. So first of all, I'm going to get it out of the pot and see what we have inside. What I'd like to do is just take a minute to ask you if you don't mind subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything, it's free, but what it does is by clicking that button it helps me and it helps my channel grow so I can provide more videos for you to enjoy. What I also would like is, if you don't mind commenting, telling me a little bit about yourself, where your bonsai journey is, and maybe telling me what you would like to see in future, what you want from a video. Is there any specific tree you'd like me to work on? So please just let me know, I'd be most grateful. Okay, so let the fun begin. Here it is in all its glory, and let's see what we can do with it. First of all, we're going to get it out the pot. As you can see, it's got a very good strong root structure, but it's actually tight in the pot. So what we're going to do is we're going to look underneath and clear out the rubbish, because there's a lot of dead, thick branches and what have you. Look at this, it's all died off. It's where there's no air got to it or anything. So we're going to clear all this away. Now normally, if I was going to pick one of these from the garden centre or whatever, I'd put my hands inside and I'd see if I could find the trunk. It's a bit awkward really, because sometimes when you go to a garden centre you can't do this. So I'm feeling for the trunk to see if I can feel the trunk structure and see what it feels like. That's what I would normally do, but we're going to clear it and we're going to see what we've got. As you can see, the branches are dropping off because there's no air got to them, and it's very, very dense, very compact. But we've been fortunate, first of all, that I've got a single trunk. That's a bonus, that's a good start. I've not got 3 or 4 trunks. So we can see the trunk there, look. Now looking at that, it's fairly straight, quite straight there at the moment, so let's see what we're going to do next. So next I'm going to see what the nabari is like, see what the root structure is like. So what I'll be doing is I will be digging into the soil here, because it's quite loose at top. There's quite a few roots here, and see if we can find any roots further down, and see if we can find a little bit more trunk. Just a matter of scraping this away and working on it. Okay, so I've come across the root structure, and I've come across some roots that are just starting to lead down. As you can see there, there's a nice one. I don't know if you can see it just there. It's just starting to come. So we're getting to sort of the main roots where I need to be. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work up the trunk, just looking to see where the branches are, and still clear out some of this top stuff. Need to clear it out so I can see what's happening. Now a lot of these branches are going to come away because we don't need them. So what I'm doing is I'm just selecting what I feel is the better branch structure. If we look up the branch trunk, and you can see the branches, you can see where it's all died off round underneath. It's very thick and dense, and as you can see, there's just absolutely loads and loads and loads of dead coming out of it. We'll keep working his way up. I'm just looking now and feeling and taking out the dead stuff just to sort of see where we are. And as you can see, the trunk is now sort of going upwards to here, so we're looking for the apex to see if we can find it, and this is the apex here. So we've got the apex. So it's now a matter of working down and looking and seeing what we can take out and what we can leave. Now there's some of these branches are very, very soft and very, very weak, because they've had a lot of lack of lighting, and the very soft, thin branches, these can probably be removed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some branch selection now. What I don't want is I don't want branches across from each other, but at the moment, if they are, and they're strong good branches, I'll leave them, because they can always be removed at a later date. We've got to think about, remember, this is just a tree from a normal garden centre, it's not from a bonsai nursery stock, so our branch selection will be totally different, and it's never going to be, well, we can't say that, but it's never going to be a show bonsai really, where everything has to be perfect, and sometimes, unfortunately, your branches will be across from each other, and at times you can get away with it, they don't look that bad. What I want to do now is start taking out the branches that I don't want. So there's some weaker branches, so I need to see what's happening with the project. That's a soft one that was falling down, so that one can come off. I'm looking here that one's too low. I feel that one's too low, it's too near the bottom of the trunk to the root structure, so that one's coming off. We're going to leave this one for now and this one for now. I'm looking round the back, there's one there, and there's one slightly one above it, so I'm going to take the one above it out first. I'll carry on looking up the trunk, feeling and looking where the branches are and deciding which ones need to come out. The more you do this, the more you will get used to doing it, be more confident with what you're doing and deciding. But at the end of the day, remember, this is my choice, this is what I'm doing with this tree. You don't have to do the same. You might think totally different. You might think, why has he chopped that branch off there, or why has he done that? This is just my decisions and my decision making. When you're doing it yourself, you'll be in the same position. But remember, at the end of the day, that'll be your tree, that'll be your creative process, that'll be what you want to get out of it, what your vision is, what you want to see, and that's where the enjoyment comes, because at the end of the day you can sit back and say that you did it. I'm going to continue working on up the tree, removing the dead branches and the structure, and basically I'll get back to you in a minute when I've removed what needs to be removed. be brutally honest with you, what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't have even used this tree. I would put it in the ground and I would leave it for a couple of years just to thicken the trunk up and everything. But what I want to do is I want to finish it off just to show you that what is possible, because some people like just small bonsai trees. So what I want to do next is I want to take all this thick, heavy, dense growth here off, because what it's doing is it's putting weight on these branches and basically it's weakening them all. So I'm going to take a lot of this growth off and then we'll take it from there. If I can just show you on this branch here that's been cut off because it was a long one, I'm going to open it up and show you. What I'm removing is I would remove the bottom parts where it meets the trunk. Then obviously any underneath that are growing down would come off. They would be taken out. I'm separating it now. It's much easier to separate it like this just to show you. And then what I would do is I would look at the branches and I'd decide which ones I'm keeping and remove the rest. So basically I would look here and I would say that's a fairly strong branch, that's not too bad, that's not too bad there, but we really don't want them opposite each other. So I'm going to take that one out for now, and I'm looking up here and I'm going to take that one out there. And as you can see, as I work up the branch, and then what I would do is also I would take the end off there. So basically you've got some kind of branch structure, as you can see, opening up there. So, like so. Then what you do is you go inside and you take off the smaller growth that's growing in between, in the little end corners. Each of the corner ones, there'll be a little bit growing out there and them notches come out. Then that would open up the branch like so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the rest of the tree like that, and then I'll get back to you. So basically I've thinned out the branches and kept the ones that I need. There'll be plenty of air now getting to the actual trunk itself and getting some light and air into it. As you can see from the top just there, it's been cut before at a previous time. That's probably to get it to backbud and become a more bushy shrub. So basically this has now become the new apex, as you can see there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this branch low down here, because this one I'm going to use as a sacrifice branch, and this one will help thicken up the trunk. I'm going to put a wire in first of all, just a trunk wire, and I'm going to wire the trunk just to give it a little bit more shape. But what I wanted to say is I'm quite happy with the way the tree leans back like that, and it's got sort of a nice shape to it just like that. So I'm just going to put a wire in to give it a bit of shape, and then what I want to do is I want to put it in a training pot and obviously leave it to just grow on and thicken up. So what I've done is I've put a trunk wire in just to bend the trunk, because while it's still young and soft it's easy to flex the trunk and shape it. This is the best time to do this, because if you leave them too long they'll get stiff and hard. I'm not going to wire all these branches because they're still soft, and there's plenty of time for them to sort of be wired at a later date into shape. What I want to do is I want to let this tree recover now. I want to leave it in a pot. I want to use this branch down here as one to thicken up the trunk, so we'll use that as a sacrifice branch. That will come off at a later date, but it will help thicken up this trunk. And what, like I say, you can see underneath there there's a slight twist in it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it in a pot now. So I've got to admit that this Blind Bonsai challenge has been quite a challenge, to be honest. It's down to personal choices and what I felt needed to be done to the tree I've done. If you get a tree from a garden centre or wherever, just go for it. Have the confidence to chop it up and decide what you think should be done with it. If you like it, that's all that matters. And remember, at the end of the day, it's your inspiration, it's your ideas, your creativity that makes the tree. And you can sit back then and say, I did that, I shaped that, I made that, I helped that tree on its way. And I've found that that's all I do, and obviously the more you do, the more you learn. These branches need to be wired later, but obviously they're so soft at the moment it can't be done. But to be honest, I don't think it's a bad job, and it will eventually turn out to be quite a nice tree. The next one I'm going to do on the next video will be this one. Obviously we talked about this one. This is the other choice that my daughter gave me, and it's a more of a carpet style juniper. So what I'd like you to do in the comments is, if you have any ideas, let me know. I'd like to know what your thoughts are looking at that. Can you see any potential in it? Can you see anything there that's worth working on? I've got a couple of ideas, but I'd just like your thoughts on it, to be honest, and hopefully we'll get a good result the next time. So thanks for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you.